Hey there, welcome. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the 1986 film Hoosiers. 86, wow. Welcome. Now, Ruben, this film not only took place in 1986, but the actual setting was early 50s in Indiana, small town in Indiana. Gene Hackman plays Coach Norman Dale. Barbara Hershey is Myra Fleener, and Dennis Hopper plays Shooter Flatch. This story is in a small town. Coach Norman Dale, which is Gene Hackman, he actually was in the military. I think he was in the Navy, and he retired there. He was a former NCAA basketball coach, had some trouble with the player, and then he was dismissed, I think, because he hit him. And so many years later, he now comes to this small town to make this team something special. And actually, this team, it's a true story. This team does very well with his tutelage, right, his coaching. And one of the great spots is Dennis Hopper. He's just so exciting to watch, so positive, so much energy. Barbara Hershey's fine, but I really, every time Dennis Hopper was on, my eyes was glued. I've seen this movie probably 30, 40 times, and I say that because I used to work in a movie theater, and I'd always watch it when it was showing every day, every time I was working. So, Ruben, what do you think?
The movie is excellent. I really like it, and I've seen it before, not 40 times, but
I used to
I've
work at
seen
the
it.
theater, yeah.
And so, of course, as you mentioned, the movie is Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah. So you were right when you say Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman and the setting. It's important to have a very strong setting. The movie centers Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana means basketball.
Hoosiers, yeah.
Indiana is about that. It's about small town life and their love of basketball. Of course, that could be a caricature in some ways, but it really gives you that feel of that life. And Gene Hackman is his character. You really feel is a coach. We talked about Sidney Poitier. At least I mentioned Sidney Poitier as somebody you recognize as a real teacher. Is he a teacher who's playing an actor, or actor who's playing a teacher? I feel that way in this performance in Hoosiers, because you feel like this man breathes basketball, and you love it. You love the fundamentals. You love that he cares about the students, about the players, and he's a teacher. I don't recall what he was teaching.
I think social studies, yeah.
And so this is a person that you might recognize. I like the fact too that this is a movie that sort of depicts small town life and those small town values without caricaturing them or mocking them. Some of these people are very church-centered people. In fact, one of the characters is a pretty devout Christian or believer of some type. And I think that Gene Hackman doesn't necessarily believe in the movie, but he confirms it, or he sort of celebrates it with him and allows him and respects it. And, we get into some of these more modern films. I don't think if the movie was made today, it would depict it like that. It would be, these country bumpkins. They would laugh at it. It's the very Pleasantville kind of Pleasantvilleization of a movie where they show it ironically or they laugh at it. So I appreciate that. I also, I know I'm going to jump into what is authentic in terms of teaching, but I'll just do it just because I'm in this flow of it. There's a moment in the film where Gene Hackman sort of castigates, or he sort of gets in the face of one of the students. He has to be careful because he has a past. He has a past in which he's been kicked out of a program or fired from school from being too rough on the player. He gets in the player's face. Players walk out. These teenagers walk out. But the next day, a parent walks in, and he sort of asks his child, his you know, his player, his child really, to apologize. And that parental support goes a long way for
Mm.
teachers and coaches. You appreciate that. You know the coach does, and it's one of many things that I like that are authentic and makes the movie successful.
Yeah, with the authenticity and the strategies, I was looking at a couple things, and it reminded me of the classroom and even coaching because I've coached over the years different sports, and there was a scene where Gene Hackman is he's on the court, and it's a game, and he only has 5 players, and one player fouls out, and the one player that's on the bench he took out, and he's about to go back into play, and coach is saying, Gene Hackman says, "Hey, sit down." And he's like, "You only have 4 players. It's okay. I'm gonna play with these 4." He tells the referee, "I'm gonna play with these 4," because the one he sat down was not listening to him, was not doing the plays like he had asked, and the crowd went nuts. And a couple of the parents were like, "Huh, he's on top of it, and he even if he loses, he's not going to let the team run the show here, or the students." And I think that happens in the classroom as well, where you have to show leadership. You have to show that this is how we're doing it. And if someone wants to go a different direction, I always remind, I go, "Wait a minute, what's going on? I mean, you're not the one leading this. I'm the one who's doing this." And so sometimes they have to be reminded of that. And I think that was a just kind of a good example of, and a good strategy that he did regarding, you know what, this is my team, and you are to listen. So
You're right.
Mhm.
That is true. There's also a moment towards the end of the film where Gene Hackman has to subjugate his ego, or chooses to. And it's the scene at the end where he designs a play for the ball to go in to a player who is not
Yes.
at the caliber of their top player, Jimmy.
Right.
And he designs this play to go, the last play, hopefully it's the winning shot, but nobody's expecting it to go to this player who's good, but not at
Right.
that. And the players, they don't say anything, but you feel
And he feels it.
And he says, "What's wrong?" And Jimmy says, "Coach, I could hit it." And everyone in the stands probably believes Jimmy can make that shot. And Gene Hackman says, "Okay." And it's a subtle
That's true.
thing, but that is really a very important quality in I
Mm-hmm.
think an effective teacher, is to know when to back off
Yeah.
and to feel the room,
To listen.
to listen. And to me, I feel like that's a quality that has taken me years to understand. And I'm not saying I fully understand it, but I recognize that as an important tool in the belt to just sort of, when do I subjugate the ego and listen?
Yeah. I mean, that's something to remind yourself all the time, especially when you get teaching the many years that you and I have. Sometimes it's easy to kind of fall back to our patterns, but to remember, wait a minute, kids have something to say, and I can learn from them as well. So it's just a pleasant film. I think that it's nice that we both agreed that this was a positive film, and that a lot of the characters and even the setting was a positive situation. And you just felt good at the end, right? It's one of those movies where you're cheering. And I remember reading about this film. Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman were talking. This is years ago. And this one before the movie did well. They said, "I'm not sure if this movie's going to do it. This might not be something that we're remembered for." And I think we remember those 2 actors for this film because they did such a good job. But
Well, I don't know if this is the movie that either actor will be the number
no,
one.
right, one of the good performances.
But it'll definitely go down as a good film. I will say, yes, because I didn't mention Dennis Hopper, but you did. Absolutely. But not only his performance, but what his character was, a man who understood the game as an assistant coach, but could not get sober. And Gene Hackman gives him a chance because somebody gave Gene Hackman a chance. It wasn't as directly stated as that, but you infer it. And that's pretty good writing there. And the other thing is, you were not a fan of Barbara Hershey. I might have even been less of a fan. And I'll tell you what, to me, they didn't really need this character, at least as depicted in this film. It's a real puzzle if you think about it, because this character, this woman, is pretty tough on him. When he sort of broaches his interest in her early in the film, and she just shut him down in a kind of, I wouldn't go so far as say humiliating way.
Demeaning him a little bit, I think.
A little bit. Yeah. And then she helps keep the star player from joining his team. And he has to grovel if he wants him back or if he wants him on the team, and he refuses to, and good for him. Yeah. And at the end of not the end, maybe the middle of the film, he knocks on her door and he goes, "Hey, let's go for a walk." And then all of a sudden they start making out. This, if the filmmakers had to rethink this film, they might have deleted anything having to do with Barbara Hershey.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she's not a major part of this film, but she's there. She's there. Overall, a successful film, and I liked it.
Yes. So thank you for watching tonight, and we will be seeing each other again. And remember, this film was Hoosiers. Good night.